Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another review of the NCAA tournament today. Man, was it a day of basketball, round of 32, day 2 of round of 32 games, day 4 consecutive days of the NCAA tournament, March Madness, and my 4th straight day uploading this, and then we'll have a week off until Thursday. I might have a video up Thursday. I actually get my wisdom teeth taken out Thursday, so wish me luck with that. So I may or may not have that video up Thursday, but I'll definitely recap the Sweet 16 on about Saturday or Friday night if I'm feeling up to it. But today was just, man, was it a day of college basketball. So many great games, and I'll just get into the recap of the games today. Well, first, let's start with my Iowa Hawkeyes, because that was a really good game, right, Hawkeyes? No, we got blown out 87-68. Didn't even seem like we won the play at all in the first half. And we're just going to skip right past that game. Then the next game of the day, Stephen F. Austin and Notre Dame. That Thomas walk-up. If you have not seen his coach give him an interview after the game or talk about him in his interview after the game, make sure you check that one out because that was pretty emotional, and you could tell that Thomas Walkup's quite the student athlete and a great guy overall. It's too bad that Pfluger had to put in that tip at the end for the buzzer beater, but that was a great game nonetheless. And Notre Dame played well, but so did Stephen F. Austin. It could have gone either way, but Notre Dame does move on to the Sweet 16. Next, we're going to go with my man Buddy Hield, my player of the year, representing him with my Oklahoma shirt right now. Buddy Hield, he went off today, scored like 36 points. They won 85-81. Started out pretty hot. VCU came back, made it a close game, but ended up getting Oklahoma, and Buddy Hield got the win at the end of the day. Then onto a game that I really didn't even tune into, Syracuse and Middle Tennessee. I didn't really want to watch that game. It's two double-digit seeds. I knew Middle Tennessee could not shoot the ball like they did against Michigan State. And that showed because they did not shoot the ball very well at all today. Michigan State's probably wondering why they couldn't do that against them. But also along those lines, if you haven't heard Denzel Valentine, his depressing post-game conference, make sure you watch that one too, because that one was pretty rough if you are a fan of Michigan State and Denzel Valentine. That one was pretty hard for me to watch because Denzel Valentine definitely put that all on his shoulders, and Tom Izzo just really thanks Denzel Valentine for everything he did to Michigan State, and he's a fantastic player. On to the next game though, Maryland-Hawaii. That's a pretty good game throughout the day. Mel Trimble played really well today, and Maryland was able to get that win. I think they could actually give Kansas a very good run, but I'll talk about those games later. The next game, oh man, Texas A&M, UNI. I was cheering for UNI because I'm from Iowa. I'm an Iowa Hawkeyes fan. I want the state of Iowa to do good. My Hawkeyes didn't do so well, but I was hoping UNI could make up for it. And I thought 12-point lead, 40-some seconds left. It's all over. UNI just got to knock down free throws. It's not even going to be a game anymore. Well, if you missed out on that game, you missed out on pretty much March Madness summed up. There was no quit in Texas A&M for that last 43 seconds or so. And UNI really just handed the game to Texas A&M. I give Texas A&M a lot of credit. They really, got after them and really tried to make them force turnovers through the last 43 seconds, which you have to do. But UNI just did some stupid things, throwing the ball around, just so many turnovers at the end of the game, ones that they just did not have throughout the whole entire game to lead up to there. Then went into overtime, then went to double overtime, and Texas A&M was finally the better team and able to put them away after UNI got some of their best players in foul trouble like Wes Washburn. Even though he didn't play very well today, he still is their best player, and he ended up fouling out in overtime. On to the next game, an even better game. Actually, it probably wasn't better, but just another great game. Wisconsin and Xavier. Man, Xavier, I thought had that one too, as Wisconsin was trying to battle back. I was trying to flip between both channels. If you guys did the same thing and watched all the games today, it's hard to keep track with UNI and Texas A&M and Wisconsin and Xavier. I didn't get to watch as much as Wisconsin and Xavier. I was watching UNI just collapse, but I did see Bronson Koenig. That guy he's a dog. I tell you what, he hit that clutch shot. He made so many threes today. I'll get more on him later, but Wisconsin got that charge at the end, then drew up a nice play at 2 seconds left, got Bronson Koenig open, and he says that he knew he was going to make it, and that's just kind of a little bit of cockiness. But, I mean, if he thought he was going to make it, That's the confidence you need in a shooter, a three-point shooter. So They did end up getting the win. They advanced to the Sweet 16, take on Notre Dame. The last game of the night was Oregon-St. Joe's, and St. Joe's definitely gave Oregon a battle. I thought St. Joe's would definitely battle Oregon right to the end, and that's exactly what they did. They were down 3, and they had a turnover by their best player, who just really started to dance with the ball towards the end. Kind of a little freshman mistake out of that guy, but you know, everyone makes mistakes, and that was an awful time to make one, but he did end up making it, and Oregon was able to put the game away with 2 free throws finally, and just escape against St. Joe's, because St. Joe's was up by like 9, or not 9, more like 5 or so, with about 5 minutes left, and I thought St. Joe's may be able to hold on, but everyone knew Oregon had a run in them, and they showed why they deserved the #1 seed over Michigan State, and they pulled that one out, and were able to get the win. The teams that I really liked from today, round of 32. As much as I hate to say it, Villanova, they have a tough team. It's going to be a tough game against Miami, but Villanova, when they put the piece together, make those 3 pointers like they did against Iowa, man, is it hard when you're the opposing team trying to watch your team stop them. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that watching Iowa try to stop Villanova, let's just say it was a kind of a short game of me watching. I could watch only so much of it until it just got out of hand. Obviously, I tuned in for most of it. Or sometimes I was just flipping the channels when it just got really ugly. Then I turned back and hope I would make a run. But Villanova looked great today, and they are fantastic. Ryan Arcidiacono, he's a beast, honestly. He could really lead that team very far, and they finally got past the round of 32, something that's been stopping them a lot in the past. But they do get past it to the Sweet 16. Another team that I really like, Wisconsin. Man, that is a tough team. That's going to be a tough out in the NCAA tournament. They're always tough to beat, but something about this team, they really just find a way to win. They were like 7-6 in the middle of the year. No one even thought they were going to be able to contend for the Big Ten in the Big Ten or for the NCAA tournament at that, maybe even the NIT. But they really brought back after Bo Ryan resigned from Wisconsin, and then Nigel Hayes, Bronson Koenig, Ethan Happ, I think his first name's Ethan, I'm not quite sure on that, but Happ, he's a beast too. And then the other team I really liked is Maryland. Maryland does have a really tough game against Kansas, though. That's going to be a hard one for them to walk out of there with a win. But I could definitely see Maryland giving them a good run. And Maryland played great today against Hawaii, who's not a bad team at all. Don't get me wrong. Hawaii definitely beat Cal, who is a very good team. And Hawaii was definitely a very good team, and they were deserving of probably a little bit higher of a seed. But they ended up getting beat by Maryland. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the UNI game. I already talked a little bit about this one, but man, the whole first half, UNI played great defense, shut down Texas A&M. Caruso was the only one scoring for Texas A&M, and UNI was really getting things going. It was like 32-22 at halftime. Texas A&M was lucky to be down by 10 or 12 or something like that at halftime. And then it got into the second half, and Texas A&M started hitting some shots, but UNI just withdrew every single run that Texas A&M had. As I shoot that 3 with Shaq. UNI definitely really played really well for 39 minutes of the game. If they would have taken back that last minute of the game, then they're on to the Sweet 16. They're going to be playing Oklahoma and Buddy Hield, but that collapse at the end was just hard to watch. There were some times when the guy throwing the ball, they got Bohannon, he got hurt, who was their inbounds thrower. So, I mean, it kind of screwed things up, but if you're inbounding the ball, you got to know if it's a made shot, you can run the baseline. There's times where he was inbounding the ball from underneath the backboard, and you just can't inbound the ball from there. And then when they were down, or when they were up by 2, UNI and Washburn caught that one and was trapped, and they have no timeouts here at the end of the game. They just blew away 2 timeouts that they had with like 40 seconds left, and probably wasn't a good decision. I'd rather take a turnover there and having the timeout left with like 10 seconds left. But West Washburn got trapped with like 7 seconds left. The clock was ticking. He was trying to stop himself from falling out of bounds and staying out of the trap and keeping it away. And then he did what was probably the worst thing he could have done in that situation. Worst thing he could have done was probably fall out of bounds. That's actually probably the second worst thing. He probably did the worst thing by just throwing it at the people's feet, trying to knock it off someone. And they got out of the way, and then they got the ball and laid it in because it was right next to the hoop. I think West Washburn just needed to chuck it down the floor. If you're just going to bounce that one right for them, right next to their basket, it's just not a good. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. If I was a coach, I would have wanted him to just chuck the ball down the court and take my chances with them retrieving it with like 5 seconds left and running down the court and trying to take just a tough shot if I can rely on my defense, who played great all game. But West Washburn tried to save it off a guy's foot, and it just didn't work out. They got the layup out of it. Then overtime was pretty good. And it was a little shaky. It seemed like the shooters, their legs got a little tired. It's probably their second game in 3 days or 2 days, whatever it is, and then it was just kind of bad overtime. And then double overtime was pretty good. A lot of clutch shots. You and I had a lot of clutch shots in them. I give them credit. Jeremy Morgan's one of my top players of the tournament today, which I'll talk about him in a minute. But yeah, they blew that one. They definitely should be in the Sweet 16. I feel bad for them, but Texas A&M never quit, and they're a very good team, and they may give Oklahoma a run in the Sweet 16. Now the players of the tournament today, Buddy Hield, talked about him. Favorite player. He's my player of the year. I love Buddy Hield. I hope he can continue to make a deep run. He had 36 today. That's all you need to say. Next is Bronson Koenig. I already talked about him too. That game winner is just part of Bronson Koenig. He hits clutch shots, and he played great today for Wisconsin. Really leads that team. If he plays well, they play well. Melo Trimble. Melo Trimble had a sophomore slump this year. He didn't play as well as anybody thought he was going to, but he played very well today and really led Maryland past Hawaii. And I saw his aggressiveness for once. Finally, he looked like he had some confidence this year and really knocked down shots and took the ball to the basket. So that was good on his part. And last Jeremy Morgan had like 34 or something like that. Watch me just mess that up with Michael Jordan. He had like 34 and 12 rebounds and really hit clutch shots, which Washington couldn't really get it going today. So he was the one that had to take the big shots, and he definitely hit some big-time shots. And just a good job by Jeremy Morgan keeping his team in it. Finally, I'm going to talk about the Sweet 16 and my predictions. First is a matchup between Miami and Villanova. This will be a really good game. Angel, I don't know how you say it, for Rodriguez, let's just call him that, for Miami. He's a very good point guard, but I feel like if Villanova tries to pressure them like they did the Iowa guards, Rodriguez is gonna take advantage of that. He's gonna take that personally, and he's gonna just get layups and jumpers, and he's gonna really lead that team to a very close game. But I do think Villanova is just a little too tough for Miami, and they will win that. Next, Texas A&M and Oklahoma. I just don't know who to pick for this one. This one will be a good game because Buddy Hield will, no matter what, keep Oklahoma in the game. He'll just keep chucking them up if he needs to. And if they're hitting threes, they're going to beat Texas A&M, but I can't predict what they're going to do. So that could be a very good game. I don't know if Texas A&M is going to knock down shots this game or not. If they didn't against UNI and they still pulled away because they finally hit shots in the second half. And I just don't know. That's two streaky teams who really, if they hit open jumpers or they hit the three-pointers that they shoot very often. Obviously, any team can hit open jumpers and win games. That's just common sense. But I mean, Oklahoma puts them up a lot. Like Woodard, Isaiah Cousins, Spangler, Buddy Hield, all throw them up. And that'll be a very good game to see. I don't really know who's going to win that one. Maryland, Kansas. I think Maryland's going to give Kansas a very good game, but I think Kansas is going to beat Maryland probably by 10 or so. Maryland does have pretty good matchups and should match up well against Kansas, but Kansas just has too many good players, and I think they'll come away with that win. Next is Duke, Oregon. That's the last of the Thursday games. I think Duke's going to win that game. Grayson Allen and Brandon Ingram have played very well in the tournament, and Oregon looked a little shaky against St. Joe's. So I do think Duke's going to advance to the Elite Eight again this year and maybe try to bounce back and try to get their title. We'll have to see about that. Now into the Friday games. Iowa State, Virginia. I think Iowa State's definitely going to give Virginia a run. I could see Iowa State win that game, but Virginia might just squeeze that one out with their defense. Wisconsin, Notre Dame. This one will be tough, but I do think Wisconsin's going to advance to the Elite Eight again with the 7-seed team. Wisconsin did not play well, or Notre Dame did not play well against Michigan or Stephen F. Austin, so I think they're going to win that. Gonzaga, Syracuse. I think Gonzaga's going to blow out Syracuse. Sabonis and Wiltshire are too much. And lastly, Indiana, North Carolina. Indiana's going to give North Carolina a good run, but I do see North Carolina winning that one. And those are my predictions. That's all I have for today. And if you guys did enjoy, hit the like button. But as always, I'm out. Peace.